What is the role or genre that you think Maddie would do great justice to?
A super human film.
I think we can negotiate Minnal Maddie. I think
You could be running a regiment.
What weird habits do I have?
Who's supposed to be here? Why are you talking?
But you guys have regrets?
I have lots, but I don't know if I want to talk about it.
The fact that we didn't do many films together yet.
that's a regret we all share. That
He read the script and he said he doesn't want to play the character, right?
Yeah.
who is the hero of this film? Do we have a clear answer? In the படத்துல hero யாரு villain யாரு?
So this is really surreal because we're meeting each other after shooting the film for the first time.
Yeah.
I don't think we've actually ever been in a room together when we are not shooting in our entire lives together.
Correct.
It's the first time.
Yes.
Correct.
And then I remember when we went to Bangalore and we shot that birthday scene. And I was catching up with you after a long time.
Yeah.
And I hadn't met Meera Jasmine for 15 years before that.
Yeah.
So I think after Run, that's the time I met her.
That's the first time I'm meeting.
After only you made either.
Sorry, after I did.
Okay.
Thanks for keeping the facts in place. I rely on you.
Always.
Always, yeah, the statistics man.
Yeah.
But tell me, what was the most unforgettable moment, or what is the most striking moment from that evening in Bangalore when we shot together?
I've never worked with Sid before. So I was actually quite nervous to do
Oh.
that scene. I've never done like a full scene in one shot.
Oh yes, that scene. Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
usually for our films, I'm so used to doing it in different shots. And I was asking Sashi, we're not doing the entire scene in like one shot. No? So like, of course we are. I'm like, what? Are you serious? And I was so nervous because I was like, oh my God, what if I forget my dialogues? What if I don't do the... And because it's also sync sound.
Correct.
எனக்கு பர்சனலா அதுல வந்து நயனோட ஓன் வாய்ஸ்ல அவங்க பேசுறது எனக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிச்ச ஒரு விஷயமா இருந்தது. ஐ திங்க் நாடியும் டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணிருக்காரு அதை பத்தி.
நிறைய வாட்டி.
ஏன்னா
he's
எவ்ரிபடி
tired of saying
இந்த
that
யாரோ நேத்து
No.
படம் பார்த்துட்டு நயன் மேம்க்கு யாரோ புதுசா டப்
டப் பண்ணிருக்காங்க அப்படின்னா.
Oh my God.
அது இல்லைங்க ஆமா ஒரு புதுசா ஒருத்தர் பண்ணிருக்காங்க நயன்தாராவே
நல்லா
பண்ணிருக்காங்க.
டப் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. டப்பே பண்ணலையா அப்படிங்கிறது.
சிங்க் சவுண்ட் அது லைவ்ல ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ண சவுண்ட் ஐ வாஸ் செல்லிங் தம்.
Let's talk about sync right now.
Yeah.
So for me, it is a nightmare if I have to dub. So I told Sashi, please, we have to do live sound. And he said, yeah, we'll convince Nan and everything. And Nan comes on the first day. She had said okay. And then there was a lot of statistics on the first day. You remember numbers and
Yeah.
technical words
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
She said, I
First
can't
day.
do all this. She said, can we just have prompting? Sashi said, let's just finish one scene. We'll do it, whatever it is. Siddharth, I'm telling you, when she did her first scene, she spoke very softly. But the kind of gravitas that softness has is where the mic guy can actually increase the gain. And within that realm of, the bandwidth is when you can see all the emotions. When you can actually, you can't have all the emotions when you're screaming. But she hit it like the sweet spot on the first take. So I went behind and I said, Siddharth, the name of our audio.
The sound record is named also Siddharth.
They're full of Siddharth.
Yeah.
So whenever I used to have a bad take, I used to say Siddharth. And
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was like,
Yeah,
I thought I was
better get
acting.
it.
I was yelling at myself. I said, no, I'm yelling at the sound.
Yeah. So I heard her first lines. And I'm thinking, this is an experienced artist. Yeah, she's able to manipulate all the words correctly, everything happening. And I'm looking at Siddharth, he's like, yeah. It was so pure. It was so real. I think after that, it's very difficult for you to go back to sing and
It has been very, very difficult. I've been calling up every producer, director and asking them if you can actually, can you shoot in sync sound? I'm like, are you serious? As an actor, when I've done so many films, but I've never felt like how I felt on the set of Test. And I think it's purely because of the sync sound.
Maddie, I'll ask you a question. When you watch yourself in a film, and we've always discussed this, role பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறம் you're seeing the film for the first time. You also see it as an audience and you react to your character. As an actor also, you'll be like what you did and how you would do it differently. Just both of these as an audience, how do you see Sara? And you also, how do you see Kumudha as an audience, not as yourself? And second, as an actor, when you saw your performance, what part of you wanted to say, இது வேற மாதிரி பண்ணிருக்கலாமா? Now that you know who Kumudha is from the outside, Sara is from the outside.
So, there has never been one character or one scene that I've seen of mine and I didn't feel cringe.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not trying to. It's
No,
just,
that's quite common for many.
Yeah, so
many
the
people.
first time you see it, you go, and it's breathtaking for me. Okay, it
Yeah.
takes
You've
it
told me
takes
this about this, but over the years, has it become easier?
worse.
Worse. More more
Yeah.
self-critical.
Yeah, I can see myself. I feel like I'm lying. I feel like I'm not doing justice to the co-star. I might be completely wrong. Maybe it's that uncertainty which Mani sir always okay is the take, and Mani sir always okay is the take. That I'm slightly uncertain with. The one that I'm supremely confident about, like one more. So I keep thinking, and I keep using these as walking sticks and thinking, no, maybe that is what the audience will also see. So then it takes me a little. It just it's like opening up the laces and all that and saying, okay, don't be so critical. See na pare, artha artist pare. It happens to me after 90 films. But for me, when I watched Sarah, there was a disconnect because I'm not like that.
Correct.
I'm a bull in terms of what I do in my life. And so I was trying to say, come on, move up and do stuff, make it happen, everything. I honestly didn't think I was doing enough to make the chemistry happen between you and me. And that's what they're talking about right now. I'm like, oh, so I was so wrong. Sometimes.
Sometimes you just don't have to do it.
Yeah. So
It just
I'm
happens.
just
It's
thinking
just
all the
there.
romantic films I've done, we've done so many things together. We have such romantic scenes. But for me, that bike scene,
Yeah.
where it's just not even facing each other. We're like on the bike,
Yeah.
but just the way you sat, just the way your shoulders, your cheek was on my shoulder, and we were talking. It's just they're husband and wife.
The strangest part is we've never worked together.
We
never done-
barely met.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have we met before?
just
I
once.
don't
I,
know,
think
maybe
some at one
once.
party or something like
Yeah.
that.
So I don't even remember when. And it's quite strange that we've never done a film together. But when we started shooting on the first day itself, it just felt like we always knew each other.
Yeah,
It just felt very, very real
it
and
felt
very,
like that's how
very
it's supposed to be,
comfortable.
right? Yeah,
You know?
and it's very strange. I think personally also, it felt like
because
I know
I've,
Nayan for so long. It's like that.
What about you?
that's the best thing also.
What
I
about
think.
you? About Kumula?
About Kumuda, I have so much to say about Kumuda.
Hmm.
Kumuda came into my life when I really needed Kumuda,
Oh,
if I can say so.
Yeah.
As an actor, you go through different phases. No? So I was, I think, in a very low phase where I was just doing the usual kind of films that I have been doing because that's the only thing that I was given the opportunity to do. I think the first time itself when Sashi narrated it to me, I think I know her. I'm not saying I'm like Kumuda, but I like Kumuda.
And you have empathy for her and you want
Yeah.
her to be happy.
I feel that I needed her at that time as an
Wow.
actor.
Nice.
Those were the most happiest days on a film set for me.
But the best part was when she was on set. I really realized she was on set.
Yeah.
And at 6 o'clock, I'm in the evening when you pack up, I'm dying to go home. But we would sit and talk even after pack up, which was very rare. For me,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
very rare. And she cooked lunch for me. I got it from
Yeah, I
her.
also got fed by.
Yeah, just those 2 days.
Hmm.
I think I'm supposed to ask you a question. Ready? Always ready, yeah?
Always ready.
If you could sit your younger self down on the first day of Boys and give him one piece of advice, what would it be?
To put it in perspective, Boys was Siddharth's first film with Shankar. It was a huge hit, and he became a big hit amongst the ladies and everything. Big hit of the film. So, for the guys who don't know what Boys was,
So, Maddie's known me since that time.
Hmm.
And Maddie knows that if somebody had come to me and given me advice at that time, I wouldn't have listened to it. So, நான் என்னோட younger self கிட்ட பேசினாலும் அதெல்லாம் இருக்கட்டும் உங்க வேலையை பார்த்துட்டு போங்கன்னு சொல்லி
Would you listen to anyone now?
if I was to go back, I'd tell him definitely what the two things is. One is talk less, which I still tell myself every day. I'm still struggling. But the second thing I'll tell him is I'll thank him because if அவனுக்கு என்ன பண்ணணும்னு தெரியாம இருந்திருந்தா இன்னைக்கு நான் சந்தோஷமா இருந்திருக்க மாட்டேன். It's because he knew what he wanted to do
How
at
sweet.
the age of 22. So I'm really happy that my younger self was honest and stubborn. So I'll tell him to hold on to those two. And the first is always kammiya pe.
So you have worked in multiple languages and all the
Industries.
industries.
yeah.
Would you want to pick a favorite?
For me, one of the greatest takeaways of my life in cinema has been that I got to speak new language. And
I'm fascinated by that ability of yours.
I love languages. So when I get into it, I try to speak the language like a local.
But that's
you know?
also, I think, quite easier for you. I wouldn't say easier, but more comfortable for you because you know a lot of languages.
Oh, it started. I
you're-
started with not knowing any languages. I was a baby.
Oh,
But,
really?
one at a time you
didn't know
learn.
Telugu?
You
No,
didn't
no.
know
I learned Telugu in 2 weeks before my
Wow.
first day of
How
study.
incredible! And I've seen.
And
her
I had a
interviews in
I had a
Yeah,
condition
yeah.
with my very very famous and very very important producer in Telugu cinema, MS Raju garu. He called me and he offered me the film, and it would later be directed by Prabhudev. I was his first film as a director. And when he called me, I said, I only have one condition, that I will dub for myself. And he said, do you know Telugu? I said, no, but I'll learn. And he said, I don't understand how you're asking for this, but okay. So then I dubbed either it in Telugu, and then I started my first film
Very
in 2
nice.
weeks.
That is my regret. I wish I had done
Yeah,
it.
it just makes you
Yeah.
feel like you live more of a life by
Yeah.
learning that language and being able to think and speak like another people. I
Yeah.
find that very empowering.
It's very enriching.
And so that's the only thing that I take away majorly from this multiple industry thing. I think all actors have the same answer.
Yeah.
Between action and cut, there is no language.
Yeah.
And in test, what I found very beautiful when we were dubbing it, I dubbed the film in Hindi and Telugu and English, and just to see this Arjun Venkatraman and how he feels in different milieus, it was very interesting.
But you guys have regrets?
I have lots, but I don't know if I want to talk about it. I have lots.
Okay, do you have any?
No regrets. I mean,
No, I'm saying in terms of work.
in
terms
terms
what
of
you could
work-
have done. Yeah.
Not really.
The fact
You
that we
know-
didn't do many films together yet.
Yeah.
that's a regret
Good
we all
one.
share, that we should all
Yeah.
done more films
Yeah.
together.
Yes. With work, I think this is all I could have done with what
Yeah.
was provided.
Oh, you know what I really think? This is just the beginning. What I mean by that is there are hardly any roles in some of the industries that are written for which is age appropriate for people like me.
Hmm.
You know, and there is people of like I was just saying, you're on, you're an icon in terms of what you've done. No, really, look at what you manage. You're a mother of twins. You're an icon as an actor. You've transcended so many industries. You're an entrepreneur. You've now become a producer, right? I think accumulative experiences that you're going to have with all these things makes you that much better an actor, yeah. And we should have storytellers who are able to
Find that
Capture
next
that
time.
and-
suck from that,
But
I
you're
wanted-
wearing many hats like that. You're trailblazing. It's never been done before, but it
And-
will be done much more
And
now that
that's
you've
what-
done it.
That's what makes it aspirational,
Yeah,
right, bro?
yeah.
I'm just saying, think about young girls looking and saying, I want to be a business entrepreneur like her.
Yeah.
I want her to be in a highly male-dominated place and come there and hit a sixer and say, you can still be a mother, you can still be an entrepreneur, you can still do everything. Somebody has to write a role like that for you.
Yeah.
That is,
I'm still waiting for that.
it'll happen.
Like
I
I've
think
always.
that's
waited
why I'm
for
saying
that.
it's the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Now they know.
Yeah.
Now they see it, and we're waiting for that kind of. So tell us about how you manage. You're a producer, and now how
Oh my
does the
God.
whole world look like that now?
I think I started working at 18.
Mm.
So from the time I've, known what life is, or from the time I became an adult, I've always been running after, for the things that you want to achieve in your life. It's a largely male-dominated industry,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
wanted to have that sweet spot where I'm there, I'm relevant. There are people who come and talk to me like, no, but there are not many women on the set.
Yeah.
And will you sit alone? Like, is it okay if you sit alone? I'm like, I'm always sitting alone. I'm always,
Yeah.
Amongst 300 men on the set. But I never feel like, I'm a woman and
Yeah,
I need to be
absolutely.
protected. I need to be treated a different way. I don't have that.
That's the feeling I want the
Yeah.
youngsters to come into the industry
Yeah.
with. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That they belong as much there as any other person on the set,
Yeah.
right? Because that's when you do the best of work. You get what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? So, and for her, I've seen when I'm working with her and she's got a break in between, she's there and she's, approving a font or one of her products or firing somebody for saying, why did you not take approval? It's awesome.
Yeah.
Men do that. And to see her handle that was, I thought an example. I just hope that kind of roles we get to do.
Yes.
I don't know if do we have a clear answer in the part of the hero yaru villain yaru.
அதுதானே ஏன்னா நீங்க what you did in the second half, it is so intriguing, it's very difficult, and in fact the final decision that you actually make, it's shocking. It's like,
Yeah.
oh boy, how? And then ஒருவேளை அது கரெக்டா போகாம இருந்துச்சுன்னா,
Correct.
அதுவேளை அது உண்மையான த்ரெட்டா இருந்துச்சுன்னா, ஒரு அப்பனால அதை எப்படி ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ண முடியும் அப்படிங்கிற அந்த பல கேள்வி வருது இல்லையா? அது வந்து எப்படி நீங்க ஃபேஸ் பண்ணீங்கறத நான்
And
கேட்டேன்.
that line that you say that the world belongs to madmen, correct?
சரி, நானும் நிறைய வாட்டி சசிகிட்ட சொன்னேன், you are taking time to build these characters in the first half. இதுக்கு வந்து எப்படி நம்ம வந்து செகண்ட் ஹாஃப்ல ஜஸ்டிஃபை பண்ண போறோங்கிறது வந்து என்னோட கேள்வியா இருக்கும்போது, when you saw everybody's transformation and why, then you understand, oh, why we have taken so much of care to establish these characters in the first half, right? That becomes so evident. Or else in today's Instagram generation, you want everything to move fast, and somebody like, no, it has to be a slow burn. Yeah,
That's what a hero villain is not. It's not who we are. It's what
But
somebody
they're right
sees
in
us.
their own way.
நம்மள பார்க்குற பார்வை.
ஆமா, and
கொடுக்குற
it's an
பட்டம்.
extraordinary example which happened in Chennai
Hmm.
when there was an Indo-Pakistan match.
Yeah.
And Pakistanis played really, really well.
Yeah.
At the end of the match, they just got up and they clapped for them, right?
Yeah. There's in Chepauk. That's why
Yeah,
this
Chepauk
this
is what I'm
film is
saying.
also as
Yeah.
much about Test cricket as the importance of shooting it in Chepauk and staging it in Chepauk.
Yeah. That's
Because-
where it happened, right?
Yeah. Sashi and I used to discuss any matchல ஒருத்தன் ஜெயிக்கிறான் ஒருத்தன் தோக்குறான். So அதே match when two people remember it, எவனோ ஒருத்தன் ஹீரோவா இருக்கான் இன்னொருத்தன் வில்லனா இருக்கான்.
அத பத்தி பேசுறது
Every cricket match has that.
Yeah, I think we should call the director because
Yeah,
he'll be the
he'll
best,
be the
one
best
talk
person
us
to
about
ask
this.
the
So we
question.
have to invite our director, Sashi. Sashi, vaanga ba.
Claps and all for Sashi.
Oh my God. I haven't
Basic
seen the
extra,
three
huh?
of you together at all, actually.
Yes, after the shoot, you
Don't get
have
the
it.
edit.
So now let's jump right into it, Sashi.
Okay.
Who's the hero? Who's the villain? How did you come across this subject, and what did you actually want to say?
We were there in a screening, right? There's a friend of mine who's into politics and achieved greatness from when he started as a kid and things like that. And his wife sent me a message, which I think I shared it to you, right? She saw the film, and then she sent me this beautiful message saying that I didn't understand my husband till I saw the film.
Oh,
Because the
Yeah.
number of birthdays he's missed not being there when the kids were, but that determination that he had to achieve what he wanted to do, right? And so she was looking at him as a villain all her life, right? But then suddenly she realized that that guy is the hero, actually. So this idea of who's the hero, who's the villain keeps changing, right? It's not the person, but who's looking at the situation. And that's the idea of the film. Each test that you go through, you will either come out as a hero or a villain.
I love an
Yeah.
example he keeps giving, right? In all our minds, we are all heroes at all times, right? We always will go to protect people in distress. We'll always stand out there and, take the onslaught of whatever is likely to harm our families or friends. But you never really know what you will do till you're out on the streets and somebody pulls a knife on you and you know he's coming to stab you. At that point, are you actually falling at his feet? Are you running away? Are you bashing him instinctively? Because actually, I have seen that, Sashi. When you jump scare a few people, they'll go, ooh, and they'll run away. Some people will scream. Some people will hit right back. You don't want to jump scare them. And he will look like the least person who can hit back.
I just remembered, he read the script first and he said he doesn't want to play the character, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
And he said, என் வீட்டில் வந்து எனக்கு ஒரு மாமாவோ சித்தப்பாவோ இருக்காங்க. He's only like 5.5 feet and skinny. If this was happening to him, he would have taken a knife and started chasing the people. How can I play this character?
Yeah.
Actually.
So usually we women have this, especially wives, girlfriends, they'll all have this thing that we'll always remember. We'll always remember what the husbands did.
Correct.
This is the first time I'm seeing, like on screen, I'm seeing a man remembering what the wife did. To see it on screen, a man remembering it and, saying it with so much of an emotion. And it's like enough when you say those things. When you say, இல்ல அன்னைக்கு இவ்வளோ ஒரு ப்ராப்ளம் நடக்கும்போது செத்தாலும் பரவாயில்லன்னு விட்டல ஒரு வாட்டி ஃபோன் கூட யாருக்கும் ஃபோன் கூட பண்ணி எதுவுமே கேட்கல அப்படின்னா that hits her. Actually it hit me that day.
I also think that, over a period of time, the cliched feel of keeping the men as villains and, keeping them as the oppressors, it's gotten in the way of a common man who's not even that.
Yeah.
In a lot of marriages, Sashi, I think I've seen it where the guy's like, no, I'm not that. Don't judge me by that all the time. And the only problem I think is, like in this movie we are showing, the guy is conditioned to be a provider.
Yeah.
Somebody, நீ அந்த பசங்களுக்கு படிக்க வைக்கணும். அண்ட் இதுதான் அவனுக்கு சொல்லி கொடுத்த விஷயம். திடீர்னு நீ அது இல்லைன்னு சொல்லிட்டேன்னு வச்சுக்கேன், நான் யாருன்னு கேட்க ஆரம்பிச்சிருவான். அதான் பிரச்சனை. That's when you said that line, I said it like I really felt it.
Yeah.
But you would have looked at him as a complete complaint that, you're missing birthdays.
Yeah.
It tears me apart that I'm missing a birthday. The choice that I have to make, either to miss that birthday or that event, is so dramatic. I think that question you have to answer on a daily basis here.
And all of it comes down to that line that நம்மளுக்கு நடந்தாதான் தெரியும்.
ஆமா.
Yeah.
Until it happens to you, you can't say what you will do. It's easy to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But நீங்க ஹீரோவா வில்லனாங்கிறது அடுத்த நாள் காலையில உங்களுக்கு புரியுமே தவிர அந்த நொடியில ஐ டோன்ட் திங்க் யூ ஆக்ட் as a hero. நான் இப்போ வில்லன் மாதிரி ஒரு வில்லத்தனம் பண்ண போறேங்கிறது இல்ல.
ஆமா.
That famous dialogue of Ram Gopal Varma's in Company, which is फैसले गलत नहीं होते, उनके नतीजे गलत होते. The decisions are never the problem. The consequences are the problem.
Because on a side note, the three of you, I was on the sideline like listening to all of you talk about your characters, right? And you guys are also mentioning how you walked into the character and how it didn't feel like the first time. I think during the reading itself, you started being those people.
Yeah.
You came into the first day of set as Sarah or Kumuda, right?
The reading really helped.
And Sid's been in it for 12 years. I remember the first time we were in Kavya Talavan. We were in Kavya Talavan shoot when I first told him, listen, Suman and I have got this idea that I want to direct. So he's been Arjun in some state for like almost 12 years, I
It
think,
should.
actually.
Because he was fully Arjun. But yeah, I think the reading is something that
Yeah,
was very
helped.
new
Yeah.
for me. I think
Really?
I'm sure you have done it a lot
No,
of
I
times.
do it all my life.
You're a different actor, you're a different performer. out
No,
here.
no.
We don't get to do that in all
No,
our...
because you don't have to go for 15 days of classes. I have to do that.
It's saying point A to point B, it takes us much more process and effort than for you to just go like
Yeah.
yeah.
That is the strength I play to, or else I have nothing else to go by.
Yeah. I think it really helped us because
In fact,
we had not met each other also, right? And for us to come straight onto the set would have been very difficult. So I wanted to ask you, why did you choose just one scene for all of us to be together? Like, why couldn't you have more scenes with all of us?
It needs to be
distributor
special.
மாதிரி கேக்குறீங்க.
No,
இன்னும்
சும்மா
கொஞ்சம் scene
கேக்குறேன்.
வச்சிருந்தா நல்லா இருந்திருக்குமே. There was a magic, right? You'd already set up the characters and you were expecting that one place where all of them come together. And then there is a sparring. If you see the way the scene is structured, it's almost like a little sparring session, like in a boxing kind of thing. You would say something, he would say something. It just goes like back and forth. And that the tension slowly builds up, right? And that's the instigation for the second half of the film where the real sparks fly.
Yeah.
You didn't want to overuse. It's like almost like you want to use one trick one time and then leave it. So I couldn't think of why they needed to meet one more time.
Yeah.
Also, somebody said after watching the film, moral of the story is never compare one man to another man in front of them. So இந்த சீனுக்கு அவ்வளோ வெடி வெடிச்சிருச்சு
ஆமா.
அதுக்கு நடுவுல.
Yeah, I really like that scene because
Yeah.
every dialogue had multiple meanings.
Meanings, yeah.
It looks like a very layman social conversation,
Hmm.
but there was so much of depth to, or like double
The
meaning.
sparks were flying. I could see from the monitor. Right?
Yeah.
Like Sid was trying to put in new words into the dialogues. You were picking it up and then trying to use it again in that conversation. So you could see that one-upmanship, the kind of like flowing.
And like she was really happy to see Sid.
And she was, in that scene, Nayan was so protective of the conversation. She's
Yeah.
trying to like, no, don't do
Yeah.
this, go off.
Yeah.
You know,
One
it
strange
was,
thing I noticed also was how Meera Jasmine, although she was slightly in the background, was trying so hard to say, "Can you return my husband back to me?" Like can you all be the tool that will bring my husband back to me? It's like I could feel that from the way she conducted herself in the scene.
yeah, because that is the only moment in the film that she smiles. And
And she
you
gives the
see
good
that
news.
pretty picture.
Yeah.
See, for me, the scene works because as you leave, you see this beautiful, pretty
Family
picture of
picture.
life, right?
Yeah.
Lights behind, music.
The first line
Kid.
after that on the riding shot is you'll say he's such a lucky guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was such an important part. You needed to see, but it's not perfect because that one moment is all that she smiled in that entire film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
And
she
you
they,
got to
they
see
look
it.
like
Yeah.
a
And you think
picture
it's perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
I
life
really
is
enjoyed
perfect.
that இதுக்கு முன்னாடி நடந்த சீன்ஸ்ல வந்துட்டு அர்ஜுன் பாய் ஃப்ரெண்ட் இல்ல
ஆமா.
schoolmate.
Yeah.
அதுக்கு அந்த
ஆமா.
வார்த்தை பிகாஸ் நீங்க எக்ஸ் பாய் ஃப்ரெண்ட் சொன்னோன்னே the the whole story, wait, what?
What?
அப்படின்றது
Yeah.
இருக்கு. அதே சீனோட எண்ட்ல பாய் ஃப்ரெண்ட்ல ஸ்கூல்
And
பேட் சொல்லிட்டு
She keeps
and you
saying
say
that.
one line which I really love. எனக்கு ஐஸ்வர்யா தெரியற மாதிரி உனக்கு அர்ஜுன தெரியுமோன்னு பயந்துட்டேன். Which is such a fun line.
Yeah.
And then அவங்க ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் ரெண்டு பேரும் இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்றப்போ உங்களுக்கு so it is real. இவங்க ரெண்டு பேரும் they do, you know, she
Yeah.
actually proved it to you. It
Yeah.
all had lot of stuff kind of came
That's what I'm
together.
saying. All the dynamics, hidden dynamics came out. I really like that. You know, one more thing I wanted to ask you, Shashi. And I want to know why Kumudha would do something like that. Okay. Kumudha knows that I have a little jealousy in terms of
Yeah.
the fact that I call him your boyfriend in the first
Yeah.
place, ex-boyfriend, whatever. And here I've come. And this guy says, you know, what are you doing? And I say, I'm an engineer from MIT. And he says, Manipala.
Yeah.
I say, no, Massachusetts. And I'm trying to prove myself. I'm trying to show I'm also equally a man.
Yeah.
Don't think that, you know, you're talking to a loser. But in Solitarkumbode, you made her say immediately, like, what are you doing?
Canteen.
Why would a wife, seeing this dynamic happen, actually say he runs the canteen? You know what I'm saying? He just, his entire bubble just bursts in that 1 second.
Yeah.
I see it as, they say they don't remind him of all those things. I'm
Ah.
happy.
Of all what?
Because the
Oh.
last 10 years,
அதை பத்தி
this guy's
பேச
been
வேணாம்.
struggling.
With that scientific
And
thing.
finally, I've got him to being what I want.
Which is a restaurant owner.
Restaurant owner. He's happy. I'm content. I want a kid. I want a house. I want a husband to come home to.
Very nice.
I don't want an absentee husband. Don't remind him of all
The
this.
fact
This is
that-
where
Yeah.
this is where the conversation is heading to. Don't light that fire. Canteen நடத்துறாரு நல்லாதான் இருக்கு.
But
அதுதான் அது.
very nice. But I'm saying that point of view, I just realized right now.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm like, inna mutton the travel. Like, you know,
No, it
No, but
was
I
never
think
meant
I
to
But
be.
reacted-
the look, and then she realizes, shit, what have I done?
Shit, yeah.
என்ன ஆச்சுங்கிற மாதிரி you look at him. I
She
feel like
just
that.
normally says
Yeah,
canteen nadthiraru, which is a fact.
yeah. It's
You know,
almost instinctly done. Canteen நடத்துறாரு.
Canteen nadthiraru, and
there's
everything
almost
is good.
a pride.
Then you turn and give her that look. Then she's like, oh shit, what have I done?
I think
Why would
Maddie
you just-
almost did like a double take. He went.
Yeah, I was
Hey.
like, what?
No, it was. For
And
me,
she
it was-
caught him when he came back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
That time,
It's like a dance.
that's not written.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not written that that Sarah feels humiliated and stares at Kumudha
Yeah,
for that.
yeah.
It's not written that Kumudha realizes her mistakes
Reacts to it. Yeah.
and then reacts to it. It's just because we are so much into the character, it feels, you know, it feels like a good day's of work when
Yeah.
backup is called, man, because you read so much between the lines. Yeah.
Another bit I really love in that scene is that when you say, oh, she's your craziest fan, and he quickly says, Neenga fan illaya.
Mm.
That immediate narcissistic idea, like, how can you not be my fan?
Yeah.
Right? That it's an instinctive, you know, line in passing, but defines Arjun completely.
Completely,
Like
yes.
that is what you feel. It's just a line, but that's the inner core working. Right?
Yeah, I think
So there's so much in that scene happening, right?
But you know, even at this stage in my life, I sometimes feel like, why is Sarita saying that? So if you want to know what I got from this film, is that before I instinctively react, let me see where she's coming from. Now that you explained that I'm happy he's in my canteen position. So is that one of the things that Sarita is saying? You know, I've learned not to like just immediately react like a man. Like, very few times do you actually learn from the movies that you're
Movies,
doing.
yeah.
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 So
But
see
I think
another,
all these 3-4 characters in the film are so much more closer to reality. We all feel them. We all understand them. We understand Arjun. We understand Sarah, Kumudha, everyone. And I just wanted to ask you, when you wrote this film, did you have all of us in mind, or it just happened?
So like I said, Arjun was first in.
Yeah.
Because that
Yeah, he was always
it was
there.
always there. So Arjun never changed. Like I'll start with Kumudha, right? We know each other for quite a while,
Yeah.
right? The closer I got to Kumudha, if you see all the scenes in the film, right? She'll blow hot and cold in every scene.
correct.
Exactly why I asked you this
There
question.
is no scene where she's following the same meter. She'll just go out and then she'll cool down and then be the sweetest person. Right? It's exactly her, right? So for me, it was like I knew she was going to fit in. Like there was no like doubts in my mind. And the last is Sarah. Sarah was the hardest.
Yeah.
Sarah, he just didn't say yes to the project at all. For 9 months, you know, going back and forth,
Really?
back and forth. I think he just didn't know how to play a loser.
Yeah.
Like, so I've always realized that it's that guy who needed to play the loser. Maddie starts off being Maddie in the first half of the film. Then he becomes somebody else, and he understands the pain better because in his head he's never a loser. This is one famous, first scene that we both, I met him for Irudi Sutra, right? And he was coming after a break, like 4 years break, and he had come to narrate Irudi Sutra, right? And then I turned around to saying, Madi, உனக்கும் இது இறுதி சுற்று தானே ரொம்ப கேஷுவலா சொன்னேன் but that sadness in his face, no, and I was like, shit, okay, this is the guy who needs to play this, like the guy who thinks this is his last chance and I will do anything to hold on.
The matter that every film is my last round. Everybody keeps saying, oh, come back and try.
Also about Meera, I've never said this because I've not done any interviews. So Meera and I are from the same
Tiruvalla.
town. Yeah.
Wow.
So we're from the same town. The college that I studied in is the same college that she studied in. So I had the first bencher girl. She's Meera's cousin.
Oh.
Okay. So and Meera was huge at that time. She had just done Run and all that. And it was such a huge commercial hit and all. And I'd never watched a Tamil film and all. Okay. So this girl who comes and sits with me, and she'll always have this thing that she's Meera's cousin. And every day she'll say something, oh, Meera is not here. She's in Switzerland. She's shooting for this song. And, she always used to say these things. And Meera was always there in my ears. Every day I used to hear about Meera. And I've always, looked at her in awe. And for me to meet her on our set.
Oh, you met her the first time?
Yes.
No kidding.
I've never met
And that
her
scene.
before.
Wow.
That
Yeah.
scene. So it's like I really wanted to say those things. And on that day, I was about to tell her, and I was telling her, listen, I have to tell you something, but I never got to say that.
Oh. For me,
I loved that scene between
just the two of them, right?
Arjun and
It is almost that tango. It was 2 single takes. One on Sid, one on her. That's all. That whole scene is 2 single takes.
Wow.
Right? It was like a tango. This is the only note I gave. I said, imagine somebody's actually lighting their own fuse. It's so beautifully she kind of marked down where she
Yeah.
was going one step, and then
so beautifully done. Because when she started off with one slap, I was like, oh man, is she gonna lose her whole, because she's so calm and composed, and even if you're doing something terribly wrong, she's always calm.
And அவங்க வந்து ரொம்ப புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு she goes to a place.
Yeah.
It's something very special and we saw it live. And also அந்த ஒரு சீன்ல அவங்கள when you see a couple fighting, அதுவும் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஆல்மோஸ்ட் ரஃபா ரெண்டு பேரும் ஒரு ஹெல்ப்லெஸ் சிச்சுவேஷன்ல சண்டை போடுறத நீங்க பாக்குறப்போ it's very easy for you to imagine how they were in good times.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is a passionate couple. And அவங்க ஒரு she's a ex heroine according to the script and he's a cricketer. So ஒரு கிரிக்கெட்டருக்கும் ஒரு ஹீரோயினுக்கும் நடந்த ஒரு லவ் ஸ்டோரி, அவங்க எப்படி மீட் பண்ணிருப்பாங்க, எவ்வளவு சந்தோஷமா இருந்திருப்பாங்க. Then what happened with this guy that they don't have that?
She's supposed to be a Malayali superstar, no? Actress.
Yeah, she's supposed to be a very famous actor. And இப்போ என்ன ஆச்சு, ஏன் இவங்க ரெண்டு பேரும் இருக்காங்கிறத வெளிப்படையா சொல்லாம just by seeing his behavior you will understand what that family is going through. He's putting a game above everything. So he's a bad parent, he's a bad son, he's a bad husband. But in his head, he's doing his duty.
Correct.
So அவன் சைட்ல அவன் நல்லவனா தான் வாழ்ந்துட்டு இருக்கான். But what he's doing is so negative that he doesn't realize it. Even the scenes, that's what narcissism, எல்லாமே it comes down to what he centers the film around. Even when a man is saying that, you're the reason this family is together to his wife, இல்லைன்னா இந்த குடும்பம் எப்போ உடஞ்சிருக்கும் அப்படின்றாரு. The same guy is saying, I think it's time for me. The journey is ending. He's still thinking about himself only. But அவன் கேட்குற விஷயத்துல உங்களுக்கு அக்கறை தெரியலாம்.
Okay, enough of the serious stuff. We're going to play a game.
Okay.
Maybe a test. We're going to answer some questions about each other. I don't know.
He's named himself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody has this face on me.
Okay.
Nah, I think I played a prank.
On whom?
You.
Oh.
You remember that cafe scene
Yeah.
where in the text you were only supposed to say rendu biryani?
Ama.
And I made our AD say, sir, it's a coffee shop, biryani lang kudukka matanga. That was not in the dialogue. And you were like, what? You started laughing actually.
Yeah.
So that's the only prank that happened in the set.
Maddie always says, that if it's 6 o'clock, I need to get in a car and go home. Now that's a person who works hard and plays hard. Okay? That means இருக்கிற வரைக்கும் ஜாலியா இருப்பாரு. 6 o'clockனா டான்னு கார்ல இருப்பாரு.
எல்லாத்துக்கும் எப்படி சார் நீ வந்து ரொம்ப கரெக்டா வந்து ஆன்சர் பண்ற?
வாழ்க்கை அனுபவம்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
இல்ல
DNA.
இது கேட்டாலும்
வாழ்க்கை அனுபவம். வாழ்க்கை
பேராகிராஃப் ஆன்சர் வச்சிருங்க.
வாழ்க்கை அனுபவம்.
Okay. அடுத்த கேள்வி.
Man, what weird habits do I have?
See, we know that what you are going to say you. And I agree with you. I support your choice to
Yeah, as
choose
your
your
husband,
side.
I have to support you.
Yes, I am your childhood friend and your dad's student. So I support.
Okay, why did you choose me?
I wish I had somebody like her to run a set. I mean, it's so much more efficient. There won't be like a hair out of strands. Like that should not be there. That should not be there. She used to run a regimen. I used to love it. I am like sitting in one thing.
Yeah.
Why are you guys? Who's supposed to be here? Why are you talking?
She's
Even
actually.
Daddy said like that.
Yeah, I loved it. Actually, she actually
She used to
tasted
take
my
charge.
food.
She used to
Amma.
take charge. Ella kalam. In multiple languages.
Yeah.
ப்ளீஸ் நீங்களும் எந்த படம் பார்க்கணும்னு தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும்னா ப்ளீஸ் காண்டாக்ட் பண்ணுங்க. நெட்ஃபிளிக்ஸ் டீடைல்ஸ் கொடுக்குறோம்.
அப்படியா? Okay. Yes.
But நாங்கெல்லாம் அங்க போனதால மொத்தத்துல இவர்தான்.
The only vegetarian I know, so that.
Yes, same answer. Same answer.
I think all vegetarians are absurd.
My choices cannot be absurd because I don't have choices.
That's why it's absurd
why
to
it's
call us for lunch with you. You have such few choices.
Yeah.
But I will say Sashi.
Why?
Have you know what all he's eaten?
No, I'm
Okay.
still sticking with it.
Yeah.
Most
Vegetarian.
absurd food is
Vegetarian.
Yeah.
Vegetarian.
Vegetarian.
Eat kanji
Absurdity.
in the morning and all. Right?
Yeah.
Mad over.
But my point is the proof of the pudding is in the taste, right?
Your pudding is absurd. They're saying
Yeah.
you don't eat that pudding.
Look at how I look, bro.
That's true.
No.
That's true. I like that, I'm being called close to Gen Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I agree.
Thanks, guys.
He knows
Thank
the
you.
lingo better.
Yeah.
Mr. Rocketry.
He sent a rocket to the moon. I mean, hydrofuel
Mr.
should be
Easy.
Mr. Rocketry's engineering brain.
Sid does it well.
Yeah.
Sid.
You do it quite well.
Yeah.
But so does.
Yeah, but you've seen me more of that than Sid has not seen me. That's okay.
Sid.
I've never heard sounds coming out of my phone that come out of his phone.
No, we listen to a lot of music together. I'm always listening to new music. So
Yeah.
No, Sid.
my playlist is changing all the time.
Yeah.
Sheer number of, I think you'll have what, 30,000 songs?
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I have 6.
I've
6 songs?
Yeah, all my early morning rituals.
When you're doing your kanji and your...
Yeah.
See, I told you. Disconnect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is... Hello,
Da,
ma'am.
No, madam.
da.
Annapurni.
Annapurni.
Best food on a film set, you'll get some.
Especially
Yeah.
evening 4:35 snacks.
It's made to...
Made
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
on set.
And it's always
Because
5-star reviews.
because
Yes.
I have this.
I can
huge-
never forget that bhaji we had on the rainy
Yes.
day, remember?
Yes, I think Maddie has a top 50 budgies also. He likes
Veg.
budgies.
Yeah.
Veg.
the rest-
Other than the kanji, that the healthy.
But-
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got 550 budgies to compensate what the kanji achieved in the morning.
Correct.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh,
how
yeah,
sweet.
yeah, yeah.
I love it. I love it.
What?
Okay, we'll all do that.
Yours?
Yours?
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
what's that?
You spoke in your own voice after so many
Ayyo,
films. That
Yeah,
itself is a
that
hidden
is a hidden talent. I know.
Producer, entrepreneur, so many hats.
Yeah,
They're all
yeah.
talents only.
Multitasking not
Please, yeah.
Yeah.
I think none of us, because we are actors and we became people that we're not in test. That's what I
I think 9 was.
Closest
Closest.
because, yeah, but I would still say there's so much of 9 that's not in Kumuda and so much of Kumuda that's not in 9. I feel she created it.
Well, she just said at the beginning of the interview that she related to him completely.
She likes it.
I didn't mean that
Yeah.
I am like Kumuda.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
said she likes. I like
I
that.
like-
Relatable.
That's a good line. She likes.
Yeah.
I got to tell you one moment that was very important for Sashi and me. We had just finished the first schedule and we were at, having a little sort of a dinner and stuff, and you sent him the first message when you said, "Thank you
Kumuda.
for Kumuda,"
Thank you for Kumuda. That's the only.
and we like, "Yeah, baby!" We're both so happy that you felt like that because. Because you and me, and then it was live sound, and then you had said that after about 10 days of shoot, remember?
Just
First
like one
it was 2
line
weeks.
that I
Yeah.
had said.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
Okay, so we're gonna do one last thing. Tell me, what did you take away from this role?
I kind of real life have learned to just take another breath and say, hey, why is Sarita saying that, or why is the lady saying that? What is their point of view before I react?
Nine, you?
For me, I wouldn't say that, this is what is my takeaway from the character, because I think everyone's a little bit of gray, and,
Yeah.
it's mainly because of the situations that they are put in. But something that the film is about, where his character says it or it's a voiceover or something like that, never playing was never a choice.
Not playing.
Not
Playing was never a choice. Which kind of hit me really hard, because that's what we do on an everyday basis.
Yeah.
We might have hundreds of issues at home in life, but we always show up.
Sid, yours?
My takeaway from test would be it's not over till the last ball is bowled.
Ah, cricket classic.
You think that ஒரு moment அவ்வளவுதான் இதுக்கப்புறம் அவ்வளவுதான் something Maddie and I keep talking about earlier in this as well, where whether it's a good deed that you are due, whether it's a kindness you are due, whether it's a win you are due, that even if you think it's overdue, you still keep on living and surviving and fighting because it's not over till the last.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Hey guys, don't forget to watch Test streaming now on
Netflix.
Ta-dam.